Hello, good morning. I'm here in the Isle of Lewis in the Outer Hebrides, and I haven't done a podcast for a while because a couple of months ago I was kind of picked up in this whirlwind of, you call it initiation change, and so essentially I've become nomadic, which is like quite scary sometimes, but also very exciting. And I've been doing some really beautiful meeting of people that I've known on Zoom, and so I've been to France, and then I've just been walking St Cuthbert's Way with my friend Paul to Holy Island. And now I'm up here in this far north of Scotland with some women did some really powerful work with some 5 years ago. It started. So it's amazing to be back here in the storms of the Outer Hebrides. I can hear the wind outside. So I had in mind, I was just going to make a short sort of clip video for my Instagram on the Mars retrograde today. But I woke up really early and I opened the blind, and there was the Milky Way. There's virtually no light pollution here, so you can really see all the stars. And there was Orion stalking the winter night sky in the southern hemisphere, and above him Mars, and Mars was kind of just right on the horns of Taurus. So if you imagine like Hathor with the horns, then Mars was lighting up her horns, and have some quite amazing encounters with cows recently. So it's like my imagination was really taken with this. And then on the horizon, which I actually thought was Mars at first, is Sirius. So if you don't have the Stellarium app, it's so brilliant just to see what everything is in the sky. But Sirius, another star really associated with Egypt, it felt like was really shimmering and bright like a planet. So I decided to make a longer podcast today, and just to share with you like what's happening with this Mars retrograde. And we're going to talk about Venus as well, who is Hathor, and see where that comes in, which is really interesting. Okay, so I'm going to screen share the chart. Here we go. Okay, so here we can see Mars. Pick up this pen thing. Here we can see Mars at 25 degrees Gemini, 36 minutes, and Mars is stationary today. So, there's the planet's going direct, and then it's called stationary. That's when it's actually at its most powerful today. And then it's going to turn retrograde. So this will appear as an R by tomorrow, probably. It'll be an R. It's now moving backwards, only from our perspective on Earth. It's not actually moving backwards, but it's how it appears to us from our kind of unique vantage point here. So this is in Gemini. Gemini is a sign of communication, and it's also about balancing these pillars of the masculine and the feminine. If you imagine the pillars of the Kabbalah, or the pillars of the temple, and then they're being kind of balanced out. And in Gene Keys terms, this takes place in Gene Key 12. It's a very special gene key in our genetics. It's one of 3 stop codons, and it's called the Codon Ring of Secrets. So it begins with the shadow of vanity. We all have it, so in fact our individualism sort of relies on it in a way. So I'm not going to go too much into that, or that we should worry too much about our vanity. But we then go into discrimination as the gift, and the city is purity. And as we go deeper and deeper into this purification of, for me, this Gene Key's always been about the purification of the heart, really. You know, to focus on that, and all the other purification of the mental, the physical bodies will follow that. And this Gene Key's taken me very deeply in the past, and it's been happening again this week, into the teachings of Jesus found in the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, called Ihidayo, which is to see through the eyes of the heart. And in many respects, it has a lot of similarities with heart math, where you're basically attuning your brain rhythms to a much slower heart rhythm. But it's much more profound than heart math. It's much more loving, kind of more mature. So yeah, it's a very profound teaching that was kind of found in this incredible manuscript, which was found in Egypt, as it happens, and through a kind of crazy series of synchronicities, it ended up being published the same time as the Nag Hammadi scrolls, you know, and which really confirm these sort of themes that run in the more esoteric teachings of Jesus. Okay, so what else is happening? Well, there's this wonderful grand earth trine, which I feel is really supporting the transformation. So we have Ceres here, who is the mother goddess. She's at 12 degrees Virgo. We have the moon here is at 10 degrees Capricorn. And here we have the North Node at 13 degrees Taurus. And quite close by there we have Uranus. So the full moon coming up on the 8th of November is going to take place right here at 16 degrees. And Uranus would have moved back a point by then. So it's going to be one hell of a full moon we're going to have. So in terms of Gene Keys, so the moon, let me just check my notes here. So the moon is in the 38. This is the warrior of light. The North Node in Taurus is in Gene Key 2. So this is the pure yin codon, and it's all about orientation and unity. And Ceres is in Virgo in Gene Key 64, which is all about illumination. So this really speaks to me of this opportunity with Mars retrograde to really just figure out what is causing disharmony in our lives. You know, perhaps it's a person, perhaps it's a belief system, perhaps it's a habit. And to kind of root those out and allow the illumination of the sun to kind of really show us what is going on inside ourselves that leads to maybe conflict and division and causing disharmony. So it feels like a tremendous opportunity, and also to penetrate these mysteries of Jesus. Okay, so let's talk about what's happening with Venus. And if we think Hathor and her cow horns, you know, the Taurus, Venus is the ruler of Taurus, so is very powerful kind of Venus energies. So we just had the Venus star point in Libra, the first one that's opening this 100-year epoch of Libran star points. And we can see now the Sun and Venus have moved into Scorpio there, and Venus is slightly moving ahead of the Sun now. So eventually Venus will rise as evening star on the 22nd of December, but until then she will be invisible to us. And right now she is behind the Sun. And here we also have Mercury's moved into Scorpio, so there's going to be a conjunction of the Sun very soon, of Mercury as well. So when Venus is on this far side of the Sun, you know, this kind of yearning that we have for love, or it might be, you know, it might be to be well known, it might, you know, might be for a lover, it might be for anything really, but it's such a deep yearning that we can't kind of ignore it. It's shaping our lives. It's like an engine that's pushing us in a certain direction. But when Venus is behind the Sun, there's this, we can't reach her. You know, she's too far away from us, and that brings this kind of feeling of frustration and unfulfilled desire. So what do we do with this? You know, it can be very painful. It can really like wreck your life, you know, if you don't know what to do with it. So for me, like the Sufi poets, I've just been listening to this amazing book by from Persia called The Conference of the Birds, and it's about this, you know, becoming one with the beloved, and all these yearnings, really they're calling us back to the source. It's almost like dangling carrots in front of us with all these things that we really love and want and desire, but ultimately the carrot is trying to get us back to the source. And once we're connected with the source, you know, we feel really peaceful and whole, and the yearning can be there, but it's kind of more of a heart opening than an obsessive feeling. Okay, so yeah, and I had this kind of spontaneous mystical experience in my meditation the other morning, where the yearning took me into the Sun, and just like completely merging with the solar logos, and then dropping into this incredibly peaceful place. And I felt this to be like this teaching of Mary Magdalene and Yeshua on how do we build the inner kingdom. You know, most of Christianity has been waiting for Jesus to come and deliver this kingdom. But what the Gospel of Mary Magdalene talks about, and if you watch the film from 2018, is so brilliant, because really what we need to do is build an inner kingdom, and this is going to be the transformative power in the world. Okay, and I'm just going to mention one final thing, that at the Venus star point, we also had this conjunction of Juno, she's the goddess of the sacred marriage, and Astrea, the goddess of the new golden age. So for me, this just confirms really that the Venus star point in Libra is opening up new possibilities in sacred relationship, what that means. the words that come to me are aura sharing. You know, we're aura sharing with lovers, we're aura sharing with friends, with colleagues. And that's kind of a totally new experience, and it's really taking us much deeper into the matrix and healing the wounds of separation as we're able to experience that in deeper and deeper ways. Okay, so let me come out of this. So I want to invite you to come along and join my weekly astrology conversations on a platform called Soul Tribe, which is it's a yoga platform. I'm the astrologer there, and you can do art and ceremonies for the moon and all kinds of beautiful offerings there. And so I'm actually doing Mary Magdalene on tomorrow, on Monday. They fall at 9 a.m. Pacific, which is 5 p.m. UK time live. So I kind of do a presentation, and then everyone can talk about the experience of the archetype. So you don't even really need like to know astrology, because very interested in the conversations of just your connection with the archetype and what you felt that has brought to you. And then the week after, I'm going to be doing this amazing full moon. The week after that, we're doing Medusa. So there's always interesting things, and I'm just following my intuition, really. And we also Venus Mystery School, so we're following the passage of Venus very closely, and we'll be following for the 9-month gestation period, if you like, her rise as evening star and the 7 gates that she'll go through, using the ancient story of Inanna, which reflects the Venus transits. So thank you for listening. Please get in touch as well if you're interested in a reading. I do goddess asteroid readings, and I do gene key readings using mudras. So they're very kind of experiential, kinesthetic kind of readings. So namaste and go in peace.